Hey Snowboard Addiction, Taevis here. This is the last video on our How to Frontside Spin in the Learn to Jump series. And in this video, we'll be covering the hardest spin yet, the frontside 1080. We don't need to learn any new fundamental skills for our frontside 1080, but what we do need is very strong fundamentals on the front 7s and front 9s. This is because we're going to be using the same skills and just carrying them over, adding more power, adding more control, and that's what's going to let us do the 1080. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. I'm going to show you how we can go and make sure that our form is locked in, so when you try the front 10, you'll be able to lace it, hopefully first try. There's a few points we need to hit on every front 10 attempt. And we're going to start with our takeoffs. On a frontside 1080, we need to keep our rotation very flat. This means you need to make sure that you're getting fully extended off the takeoff, because if you start dipping up and over your shoulder or cheating your takeoff, it's going to be hard to keep that strong flow that will let you contain the same axis of rotation throughout the full spin. There's 3 things that make this easier to do. First off is approach. By narrowing in our setup carve, we'll be able to spend less time on our heels. This makes it so you have less chance to scrub, meaning that you're going to get more extension off the tail of your snowboard. In order to do this, delay your setup carve. Make sure you're not going and switching to your heel edge until after you fully have gone through the spoon of the jump, because it's crucial to make sure you're leaving as much off your tail as possible, because that's going to put you up with the jump and it's going to really initiate your rotation. Second is your wind up. You don't want to wind up any extra for a front 10 because that's not where power comes on frontside spins. Instead, power comes from staying closed off and getting that full extension as you leave the lip. So I want you, when you're doing your front 10, to just make sure that you're not letting your chest or hips open towards the takeoff. Instead, making sure that your front arms closed off and your hips are squared, if not even a little bit closed. This is all the range of motion from a windup you're going to need to generate power. But you need to pair that with the third step, and that's your timing. The ideal timing has you finishing your snap as your tail snaps off the takeoff. This will put you in the proper arc of a jump while putting you in what we call the vortex. And that is when you're in a consistent, powerful rotation where you don't need to worry about correcting your balance. There's 2 main issues with timing. First of all is letting your upper body open up to the jump before you start your snap. This will just limit the range of motion you can utilize, because if you're opened up like this, your range of motion will be a lot smaller versus closed off to full. What brings us into the second problem, and that is over exaggerating your takeoff. This happens a lot when you're coming into a jump with your chest open, because it makes it, in order to get your full power off a takeoff, you need to go and hyper extend your body, making it so your legs can fall behind your upper body, what isn't ideal, because we want it so our snap snaps us off a tail with the max amount of extension in our core that we can still keep everything tight and pull our legs in together, allowing us to grab around 270. Those are the 3 things that give you power on your front side spins, and they're going to be really crucial to lock in before trying a front 10. The best way to train this is just by doing front 7s and front 9s off of small jumps. You should be able to comfortably do front 7s off of 15-foot jumps before even thinking about trying a front 10, because you're going to be using that same timing, that same spot, that same vortex on a small front 7 as you will be for the front 10. The next thing we need to go over is spotting. Just like every other frontside spin, your goal is to lock your eyes on the knuckle and rotate around it using the constant spot. By leading the rotation of your upper body, you'll be able to finish your front 10 utilizing counter rotation, as well as being more stacked over your board. This is one of the challenges of your first time trying a front 10, because you'll have a very clear moment going from 7 to 10 where you can spot the knuckle and decide, I'm gonna pull out. So it's going to take you a little bit to get comfortable with the motion of rotating the 7 and then continuing your constant spot. What really helps with a constant spot is making sure you aren't drifting. When you drift on a jump, it becomes a lot harder to track the same point on the knuckle and feel confident that you're going to make it into the landing. But by going and getting a clean snap, making sure that you're going with the jump and not drifting across, you'll be able to lock your eyes on, and it's going to feel a lot more natural going and pulling in into that last 360 that you need for the 10. So if you're drifting on your frontside spins, take a step back and get that drift out of your riding, because it's going to really be necessary when moving on to the 1080. The last thing you need for an easy front 10 is getting comfortable making it to the sweet spot of a jump. If you start coming up short or going too big, it's going to be really hard to commit to that last blind part of a rotation. So getting really comfortable with the jump, being consistent landing that sweet spot will let you fully commit to getting the spin around. The most common fall you'll see on a front 10 is deciding you don't have enough air time and pulling out at front 9. This usually results in a heel side landing where you then slap to your back. This is one of the biggest falls I make on my front 10 attempts, and this is because I'm not comfortable with my front 9. So if I'm under rotating a front 10, I don't have a muscle memory to go and walk in and get over to my toes and land at that front 9. That is one of the reasons it's so crucial to get a solid front 9 to make front 10s way safer, because then if you miss the snap, you can adjust and land at 900. As well as doing the front 9 will give you all the fundamental skills you need for the front 10. So if you're scared of the front 10, go get your front 9s. It's going to be hard, but it will really pay off. Depending on the grab you do, your axis rotation will be different on the front 10. That's why I recommend the melon grab. The melon grab has two perks. The first one being, it goes and lets you continue rotation because it's leading with your front arm, grab down, letting you go and pull into the spin, as well as having your back arm free to adjust your axis of rotation or slow down the spin. The other bonus of the melon grab is it helps keep your rotation flat because you're able to go and keep your spot consistent at the same point, and you don't really need to reach out of your way to get the grab. So I'd say melon grab is the easiest grab for flat front 10s. For any grab you choose to do, it's really important to make sure you're not grabbing before 270. If you manage to grab before 270, it's a great indication that you cut your snap short in order to break and reach for that grab. A front 10 takes full extension off the lip, so it should be almost physically impossible to get that full extension and then grab before 270. So aim to get your full snap and then let the grab come to you naturally, because rushing this process is one of the things you can do to really lessen the amount of power you're getting off the lip. And the last ingredient for a successful front 10 is picking the right jump. You want to find a perfect 35 to 50 foot jump without too much kick. This is because we're trying to keep our rotation flat and we want that nice long takeoff in order to generate rotation. You can rotate front 10s really fast. I've done them on 20 foot jumps, but they feel way better on 35 to 50 foot jumps. So if you don't have a proper jump in your resort, it might be worth venturing out over to Whistler, some other resort that makes better jumps, because a really good jump will really help you with your front 10s. I want to be able to just pull up at my local resort and do a front 10 knowing the kind of groom quality that's there. So make sure that you have a jump that you're really comfortable with and is ideally not too kicky and will really put you on the right path to success. It can be insanely hard to go and figure out what you're doing wrong, especially once you start getting to tricks as complex as a 1080. So if you don't have a coach or you're trying to do a 1080 on your own, please sign up to Addiction Plus, submit your videos, and we can help tell you if you're ready, if you need to put in some work, because a front 10 isn't really a trick that you just want to be like, I think I got it, but I'm not sure. You really want to understand the trick and fully have the fundamentals in place before trying it. So go check out Addiction Plus. We can help you go and dial in your riding and get you to a point where you can do the front 10. And if you're at that point, we can give you that little extra confidence to go and try it. Recap. Find a good 35 to 50 foot jump. Get your speed locked in. Have a late setup carb, switching edges after the spoon of the jump. Stay closed off when riding up the lip. Snap and spin, leading off your tail. Finishing your extension as your tail snaps off. Grab at 270 while locking your eyes on the knuckle. Continue leading the rotation of your head. Hold your spot on the knuckle as you pass it, locking your eyes in that blind landing position. Dig in your toe edge, stop, and ride away clean. And that is how you frontside 1080, the last video in the Learn to Jump Frontside series. I hope you watched the whole thing, you learned a lot, and will be able to apply it to your riding. I'm Taevis from Snowboard Addiction, and our goal is to improve your riding.